My name is Amanda Esco, and I am the director of the Religious Education program here at the First Unitarian Church of Salt Lake City. I'm so glad you're joining us today. Let's start chapel by lighting our chalice. Symbol of light, symbol of knowledge, symbol of warmth, symbol of freedom. We light this chalice as a symbol of our faith. Here we gather to celebrate hope and the infinite possibilities of love. As we begin our chapel today, I invite you to stand up and take 2 grounding breaths with me. You ready? Okay, plant those tootsies into the ground. Take a deep breath in through our nose, out through our mouth. Let's do that again. Another deep breath in through our nose, out through our mouth. Thank you for centering yourself in this space with me. Now, you may have noticed that I called our chapel something different. I called it Reimagining Chapel. This year in religious education, we are reimagining how we see church, how we build community, and how we gather together. So, in that theme, we have reimagined our chapel experience together. So I invite you to start to think about those ways that you can reimagine church for you and your family. So let's begin with joys and concerns though, because I love that tradition. I'll start. A joy this week. Well, my joy and concern are wrapped up together, which happens. As you all have followed along this spring, my joy is my garden. Currently, my garden is in full bloom, and I am getting so many vegetables, I just don't know what to do. We have 6 pumpkins, countless zucchini, and a bunch of tomatoes. I'm blessed with all of this good food, and I'm happy to share it with those around me. However, I have a couple plants that are looking a little dry and wilty. All this hot weather is wilting them out and sucking up all of the water they need, so I gotta work on that. Luckily, we have several master gardeners in our community that I can ask questions to, so I'm excited to gather information and have them share their knowledge with me. I feel blessed. So, what's working well for you? What do you need help with? Talk to the people around you that love you the most. I'll wait right here. Thank you for sharing your joys and concerns with the people around you that love you the most. It's important we keep talking to one another about what's going well, what we need help in these stressful times. So, Miss Lissa will be joining us to talk to us about our UU of the Week, who was an important figure in Unitarian Universalist theology. So, thank you, Lissa, for sharing with us today.
The Religious Education Assistant at the First Unitarian Church of Salt Lake City. Our UU of the Week, John H Dietrich, has been called the father of religious humanism. Once upon a time in Pennsylvania, John Dietrich was born in 1878. He was born into a family of farmers who were also devout members of the Reformed Church, or the Protestant churches that broke off from the Catholic Church but still followed Jesus Christ. John H Dietrich became a minister at a Reformed church in Pittsburgh. He was a very engaging speaker. In fact, he was so popular that Sunday attendance in his church tripled once he started preaching there, and membership doubled. But Dietrich constantly re-examined his faith, and so his beliefs changed. As a result, he began to modernize the service and picked a new hymnal which had been edited by a Unitarian. Gasp. People in his church were angry about all of his new ideas, and when Dietrich began to deny the virgin birth, the deity of Jesus, meaning he didn't think Jesus was a god, or the infallibility of the Bible, which means that he did not believe that every word in the Bible was precisely true. He was charged with heresy. A trial was scheduled, but not held because Dietrich refused to defend himself. As a result, in 1911, he was defrocked, which means he had to stop being a Reformed church minister. Dietrich wasn't run out of town by a fiery mob like Joseph Priestley was, though. Instead, the minister at the First Unitarian Church of Pittsburgh, who was a friend and colleague of John Dietrich, wrote him a letter and said, "Psst, John, I think you might be a Unitarian." In response, he said, "I have been fighting hard for a liberal interpretation of religion in Pittsburgh for 5 years. And now I feel that I want to belong to a liberal movement rather than stand alone in an orthodox denomination which resists my every effort. I can assure you that I will come into the Unitarian Church with the earnest purpose of giving it my best efforts and doing everything I can to further its cause." Not long after that, he became the minister of First Unitarian Society of Spokane, Washington. When he started, the congregation had less than 60 people. Once again, people were drawn in by his preaching. So many, in fact, that they had to relocate Sunday services to a nearby theater. Just like before, Dietrich thought about his beliefs and once again changed his mind. So much so that he inspired a new realm of thought inside Unitarianism called humanism. Humanists believe that life is affected most by human choices and science, rather than by a deity or a god. To this day, there is a healthy humanist movement in many UU churches, and the humanist teachings, which counsel us to heed the guidance of reason and the results of science, and warn us against idolatries of the mind and spirit, are actually our sixth source of inspiration. Dietrich settled in Minnesota at the First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis. Once again, his congregation grew so much that he found himself preaching to over 1,000 people gathered on a random Sunday. They also had to move their services to a nearby theater to accommodate all the people that wanted to hear him speak. This guy was a star, you guys. His sermons were even broadcast on the radio, which made his humanist message spread even further throughout the Unitarian Church. Dietrich said, "If we live in a great impersonal universe with no friend to guide, it matters tremendously how we conduct ourselves, for we are actually the makers of human destiny. Therefore, our responsibility is to put beauty in place of ugliness, good in place of evil, laughter in place of tears, to dispel error with knowledge, hatred with love, displace strife and contention with peace and cooperation." Even after he retired, John Dietrich continued to reimagine his faith. He decided shortly before he died in 1957 that he had, perhaps, focused too intently on the reason and results of science and should have left more room for the, quote, "intuitive insights and intangible values which are the very essence of art and religion." I guess that's why we are lucky to have all 6 sources of spiritual inspiration. And we were also lucky to have had the humanist influence of John Hassler Dietrich's magnetic sermons. Thank you for learning about our UU of the Week.
Hi, welcome back. For the past few weeks, we have been diving deep into our 6 Unitarian Universalist sources. Remember when we started this journey, we were imagining our sources like a big, beautiful library where we could pull information and thoughts and ideas from to inform our own beliefs. Let's see if what's inside our wonder box can help us with the source we're talking about today? Aha! It can. Look, I have books. I have a book about sloths and a book about the universe and the earth, and I have a big book of why. These are all informational texts. Informational texts give us information or facts about the world. In other words, science. Today, we're talking about our fifth source, humanist teachings, which counsel us to seek the guidance of reason, the results of science, and warn us against idolatries of mind and spirit. Let's start at the beginning of this wordy source, humanism. Humanism is a set of guiding principles that places the human experience, rather than a divine being, at its center. Humanism teaches us that humans hold immense potential, that people are good, and it's important to work together to solve our problems. Humanism also teaches us that while the world is full of wonder and awe, science and reason can explain the mysteries of the universe. I can be filled with awe that our planet Earth is 4.5 billion years old, and simultaneously understand that humans have evolved over time. Humanism is active. It calls us to evaluate information, formulate an opinion based on science, and then when better information comes around, follow that better information. We're seeing that happen in real time right now with the COVID-19 pandemic. The virus was so new that in the spring, scientists didn't really know how it was spreading. They thought that it could be through the air, or that maybe it was by touching things. Over time, with a lot of research though, they found out that fomite transmission, or touching things, is actually pretty rare, and that it's primarily spread through the air, with people breathing and sneezing and talking and singing. Through study, they found out that covering your faces with masks, like this one right here, reduces the transmission of the virus greatly. The masks we wear protect others from us. A few months ago, we didn't have a lot of good data on how the virus was spreading. Now we do, so we can make different choices. Heck, this week I read a scientific article from Duke University all about different kinds of masks and evaluating the differences between them. All masks are not created equal. We now have so much information. We can even take in new information and reformulate our ideas and actions. We make choices for ourselves, but also because we are part of our interconnected web. As our seventh principle tells us, my actions affect others, and others' actions affect me. My humanist beliefs teach me to listen to science and reason so I can make good choices for all those people around me. John Dietrich said, "Our religious humanism teaches us that our faith needs to be placed in the power of humanity. If we live in a great impersonal universe with no friend to guide, it matters tremendously how we conduct ourselves, for we are actually the makers of human destiny. Our responsibility is to put beauty in the place of ugliness, good in the place of evil, laughter in the place of tears, to dispel error with knowledge, hatred with love, displace strife and contention with peace and cooperation." Religious humanism, as is this vision, really is the culmination of Unitarian Universalist faith. We believe in the power of love, that science and reason is our best guides, and existence on this is dependent on one another. How will science and reason inform your week? As you go through your days, think
and talk about it with those that love you the most. Thank you for joining us today. To find out more information about the First Unitarian Church, please visit us at slcuu.org. But until next time, let's heart out.